Why was East Asia relatively peaceful in 1812 while wars raged across Europe, the Americas, India, and West Asia? While much of the world was engulfed in conflict, East Asia seemed to stand apart. But was this stability a sign of strength or the calm before a storm? In Europe, the Napoleonic Wars were at their peak. Napoleon's ambition had turned the continent into a battlefield, drawing in Britain, Russia, Austria, and Prussia in a series of devastating wars. Muskets, cannons, and mass conscription turned warfare into a brutal struggle that reshaped nations. The Americas were no different, with the War of 1812 between Britain and the United States, as well as independence movements sweeping through South America. Yet in East Asia, wars of such a scale were noticeably absent. In Korea, the year 1812 saw an internal uprising, the Hongyeongnai Rebellion, fueled by economic hardship and heavy taxation. However, unlike European revolts that often turned into full-scale wars, the Korean government swiftly suppressed the rebellion. The lack of modern firearms limited the damage, preventing the kind of widespread devastation seen in the West. China, under the Qing dynasty, was the dominant power in the region. The empire had expanded significantly, but the government strictly controlled gunpowder weapons, limiting their spread among the population. Instead of external wars, the Qing focused on internal stability, maintaining a vast bureaucracy to prevent unrest. The empire's population surged, quadrupling in size over the previous centuries. However, this growth was not accompanied by industrialization or military modernization, leading to stagnation in technological development. Japan, under the Tokugawa shogunate, had completely isolated itself from foreign influence through its strict sakoku policy. Like China and Korea, Japan prohibited the import and use of advanced firearms. The country maintained an internal balance of power, preventing large-scale military conflicts. Samurai still held influence, but without access to modern weapons, their battles remained small and localized compared to the mass wars of Europe. Russia, however, was the exception. While Europe saw Russia as a key player against Napoleon, the empire was also expanding eastward, pushing into Siberia and the Far East. This slow but steady expansion brought Russia into closer proximity with China and Japan. Although clashes occurred, these were often diplomatic or small in scale due to the lack of advanced weaponry in the region. The common thread among East Asian nations was strict control over weapons imports. While European and American conflicts were fueled by muskets and artillery, East Asia remained largely insulated. Without mass casualties from modern warfare, conflicts rarely escalated into total war. As a result, population growth continued, but economic and military development lagged behind. This fragile peace would not last forever. As Japan and Russia modernized in the late 19th century, East Asia rapidly militarized. Military spending surged, and history shows that such investments rarely go unused. Over the next 150 years, wars in East Asia grew to the same scale as those in Europe and the Americas. Conflicts like the First Sino-Japanese War, the Russo-Japanese War, and later the devastating wars of the 20th century resulted in casualties numbering in the hundreds of millions. The Peace of 1812 was temporary, a brief pause before the region was thrust into some of the deadliest wars in human history. History has a strange way of repeating itself. In 1812, East Asian nations, including China, Korea, Japan, and even Russia, maintained strict controls on trade, weapons, and foreign influence, prioritizing stability over expansion. This autarkic approach prevented large-scale wars, allowing populations to grow. But when modernization arrived, military spending surged, and history showed that such investments rarely remain idle. The result? Conflicts on a scale never seen before. Today we see echoes of the past. Some wonder if East Asian nations should consider economic self-sufficiency once again. Would returning to an autarkic system reduce global conflicts and preserve population growth, or would it merely delay an inevitable confrontation? History offers lessons but no clear answers. What do you think? Let us know in the comments, and if you found this perspective intriguing, share this video with others and keep the conversation going.